I'm gonna start with Dan with all these questions since this is essentially his baby. It took 14 years to birth it, and now it's here, talking in full English, and the
I
graphics
did
are
all the
beautiful.
work.
Oh
I
yeah.
watched every episode. I contributed.
So,
You
what?
ask them my watch time, and you'll see.
Oh god. What did you like? Give me your top pros. What surprised you? What did you love about this game on your first time trying it?
I think what surprised me the most was the fluidity. Like, the movement is just insane. That's my number one thing, I would say. It's just the way that the punches connect, the way that they all kind of lock in, the way that it just becomes cinematic naturally on its own. It's just amazing. Number two is scaling. I think that there's not a lot of games that you can have 181 characters and then have them all be different power levels and feel that, and you can still say that it's a good match. I think it makes it about as authentic as it can be, you know? Like, if you're gonna fight with Beerus, if you're gonna fight with Whis, you know, you're gonna feel that angel, you're gonna feel that god power for sure. And number three, I would say, believe it or not, I mean, as far away as we are from the day that Budokai Tenkaichi 3 came out, I think that it stuck pretty close to source. There wasn't really anything in there that I felt, you know, didn't really belong as like the fourth installment, you know? And you know, I guess even Shrek falls on this category, but you know, what do you truly know that has four different versions of the same game, like continuous flow, like, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, and what do you know that's about as good as this? It got better every time. And you know, like, for example, like, we're approaching Halo 7 and Halo
crazy.
7 looks amazing, but you know, we don't talk about Halo, I don't know, 3 to 7, you know? I'm sure there's some good games in there, but you know, it didn't feel like an escalation of success. It felt like, and now it feels like a rebirth. This, I don't know. It feels like we're watching Dragon Ball Z all over again, and from beginning to end, it's just gorgeous.
Alright. Javs, you're up next. What are your top 3 pros? What did you like? What surprised you? What was going through your head?
Okay, so top 3 pros. I guess number one, it kind of goes to what Danny was saying about, like, how you can feel the difference between the characters. For me, is how different, not only between the characters, but also between the transformations. Like, one specific fight that we had, Danny, remember when you, I forgot, I think you were base Frieza and I was Super Saiyan 3 Goku, and you could really feel the difference in speed. Like, it wasn't like, oh, okay, he's kind of faster. It was like, oh no, I gotta find time to transform, or it's gonna get out of hand.
Absolutely.
And yeah, and again, in the same vein, this is number 2. I mentioned it yesterday on stream. I love the simplicity, but also like the technicality of the actual transformations. Like, in theory, it's easy to transform, but you leave yourself open to so much and counter comboing, and you really have to time it well. But it's not impossible to pull off more than one transformation, like a turn or like a round. So you kind of get like the accessibility of being able to transform, but in the competitive sense, it is somewhat costly. But again, as I've explained before, the cost is definitely worth the benefit. So that's number 2 for me. And then number 3 that surprised me the most, or that I enjoyed the most, is probably how, again, something I mentioned on stream, because we knew we were going to get repetitive characters, right? We knew we were going to get 50 Gokus, 50 Vegetas. Like, we knew that was going to happen, right? But they found a way to make each of these versions of Goku feel special, and same thing with everyone else. Vegeta's, the Trunks, the Gohans. Like, I made the comment yesterday that, like, the fact that you need a certain Goku or a certain Vegeta to get a certain transformation off, like, you can't get grade 8 Vegeta if you're not using Scouter Vegeta. And like, not I wouldn't say Scouter Vegeta is like people's favorite Vegeta. So, but doing that, like having to meet these certain qualifications in order to get these transformation off, give maybe these other versions of these characters that wouldn't get as much love, it gives them more of a chance to shine because it lets you have that in your back pocket of that transformation. Same thing goes with like, if you're gonna go into like a Vegeta or Gogeta, it's certain Gokus and Vegeta that can do it. It's not every single one. Assuming you don't want to start at base Goku and Vegeta, but again, with the new SP system online, that's very costly to just start off with them. So it adds a lot of versatility and a lot of strategy into something that otherwise could get very repetitive if people use the same characters,
Yeah. Okay. What did I think? Well, this is a little tough considering I wasn't, an avid player of video games when I was younger, but I did see a lot of video games. Watching my cousins. Tenchai Budokai was definitely one of the games that I saw played a lot. Did I touch the controller and attempt to play? Maybe once or twice. Did I know what I was doing? Absolutely not. Was that feeling familiar when I played yesterday? Absolutely. So what did I like? I like the fact that it really goes to show, if you don't know what you're doing, at least characters aren't overpowered. Because, and we'll get the footage, but the Saiyan Slayer, the man who defeated Broly, Yamcha himself, the king, honestly, the GOAT. It really doesn't matter what character you use. It really falls down to who's playing with the character to a certain degree. There's almost nothing you can do when you have like Jiren and Mr. Satan. That's I'm gonna be honest here, as skilled as you can be, and as like you can max out Mr. Satan's proficiency. It's never gonna compete with Jiren. But if you have somebody like early Z Goku, or even the obvious Yamcha, you can compete with some of the stronger characters as long as the person playing with the stronger character kind of sucks. So it can be fun for all demographics, including myself. I just have them play with the Ginyu Force, and I'll just choose Legendary Super Saiyan Broly, Blue Gogeta, and we'll make it fair that way. The other thing I liked was just the obvious graphics upgrade. I'm usually never a stickler for graphics, but the graphics upgrade is nice. As you said, fluidity in terms of the movement is really good.
Everything just ties in together so well.
Yeah, when you have beam clashes, honestly, there wasn't many when we played, but it made sense whenever it happened. You know what I mean? And then 3, God, I would have to say I did like that there was a good amount of characters already unlocked from the beginning, so you had a chance to experience the different facets, different moves of the game, and different things like that. And my personal pro is that no matter how much I suck, if I Kamehameha you, I have aimbot, and that's all that matters for damage. But yeah, I think that transitions well potentially into what did you guys dislike about the game? What are the 3 things, or even 1 thing, 2 things that you did end up disliking upon the initial release of the game?
Hobbs, you want to go first, or?
However you want.
Yeah, it's your baby, Dan.
All right. I mean, it's tough to. I have 2 quarrels with the game so far, and they both have to do with story mode, I'd say. Now, again, nothing in this game to me feels like it's enough of a sour taste that I would even deduct a point from it. This is just me nitpicking, right? Because even I feel like the story essentially doesn't have the same fluidity, you know, like everything else that I mentioned. And why I say that is it doesn't flow from beginning to end. It's not cutscene to cutscene. It's like the other game was. The other game was pretty cutscene to cutscene. This one's pretty modern, but I'm also not a fool, and I know exactly the reason for it is. And again, this is all about fan service. You know, how many times I was even making jokes before the game. How many times have we seen the story? We know what happens in Dragon Ball. You know, if you're a fan, you know what happens. So what they do is they cut corners to kind of make you go with like, all right, like, you know, it's cool, get through it, but like we're not gonna spend like a quarter of our budget even on the story mode because we don't need to. We'll just fill it with cutscenes, with certain cutscenes, and then we'll add like frame still moments. And then my other thing with the story mode is the whole, and then spoiler alert, it is the whole like choosing your destiny thing where, you know, you can, and I've only had a little taste of it, but so far the decisions I make don't really shape, you know, don't really make a difference so far. Now I have yet to complete that part of the game, so maybe that might change in the next couple of days because I'm addicted. But that's my take on it.
Go ahead, Abs.
So
Take it
for
away.
me, I think 3 things that I dislike the most about. The first one's obvious. It's going to be people's biggest problem with the game. Only one map, or local. I mean, you knew that going in, and while we were playing, it didn't matter. But I could see that becoming a big deal in, like, let's say a couple months. You know, like I could see that being a deal. But that's an easy fix. DLC, very easy fix. They can do it if they want to. That's the first one. The second one, I was actually really, I don't want to say shocked, because I did expect it, but kind of bummed. There's certain characters, specifically the one I'm going to be talking about is Goten, who they just don't have that many options. It's Goten or Gotenks for Goten. And it's like some of these more iconic characters, like Goten, even 17 to an extent, because there's only 2 or 3 versions of him, kind of like you don't get as much love as the other guys. Like obviously Goku, you're gonna have all the forms and stuff, but like, you know, they could have tossed in Super 17 if they wanted to. They could have done Team Goten if they wanted to. So I think maybe we'll get more of them down the line, but that's definitely a little bit bumming for people whose favorite characters may not be the mainstay of the Dragon Ball Z, maybe more niche characters. They have at least one of most, but it is bumming that they don't have other versions. And then number 3 has to be probably that I need to explore the game more. This may be in the settings. I will preface it with that.
It's only been one day.
But I like a game mode where you can kind of just play with the characters regardless of power level, and they all kind of like match up in power level. Because again, like some like we were saying before, some fan favorites like Mr. Satan is borderline unplayable online. Like that's not happening. You're not winning a game. Like it's not happening. So it'd be nice if they add in a game mode or something like where everyone's kind of equal and you could really just explore the movesets, and that'll give it more of a as allowing the Dragon Ball feel, but also giving it that competitive fighting game feel, which I think a lot of fans would really enjoy. It'd make it a lot more competitive in that sense. And then my slight issue, this is like, I guess 3B, right? 3B, 4. This isn't for me, but
Okay.
I know how it goes because I play a lot of fighting games across a lot of genres. I don't feel this way, but I could imagine a world where someone might find the combo list a little repetitive. It is mostly one button RT to use your specials. It's a very simplistic fighting game gameplay. That's not necessarily a bad thing, but I can see people, maybe less DBZ fan, more fighting game fans, having an issue with that.
Okay. I can't say it makes a difference for me, considering I'm not skilled enough to even be able to perform most of these combos, but I'm gonna have to I'm just gonna have to agree with Dan on this one, story mode, and it'll end up going to a point for a question we have a little bit in the future. But yeah, story mode was disappointing to say the least, mostly because if you're gonna give the option for the story to change, then put the effort into making sure outcomes truly do change. There are core things you can follow with the story, like you're always gonna end up going to Namek, or you're always gonna have the Frieza fight on Namek, you're always gonna have Cell, but the journey to getting there is, I don't know. I didn't play Xenoverse. I'm assuming is. Did you guys play Xenoverse?
Yes.
Xenoverse
Fun fact: I have bought it 4 times in my life.
Beautiful. So, is there any options? Is there any modes where the story does actually change, considering it seems to be a Dragon Ball multiverse type of game?
No. So it's kind of a tricky question. No, in the sense of there is no one point where you can say like yes or no, and it like greatly changes your story.
Mm-hmm.
If anything, it changes the following cutscene that it's about to play. But like what I will say is that how it implements that is by creating its own story. After the game finished, and even throughout the game, it has its own story. I do wish that, because for example, in Budokai Tenkaichi 3, there was a whole world called What Ifs. And I'm not going to lie to you, I was actually looking forward to that. Now, technically the What Ifs in a certain way, and again, we have to explore the story a little more, they're supposed to be implemented into the story by giving you those decisions that make an impact. Again, to our viewers and our listeners rather, the first choice that we made didn't do squat. It's almost like saying, do you want to wake up and put your socks on, or do you want to wake up and put your pants on first? Like, it really made no difference to what was following up to the scene. But if it does eventually change as it was advertised, then in a way it'll kind of accomplish that. What was I gonna say? I think I'm really looking forward to the future of this game. I mean, there's, Dragon Ball is one of the few things where I can sit there and say, oh, this is a cash grab? Yeah, take my money. I will plainly be robbed by this creation that I love. I mean, that's what love is, So, I think...
It ain't that fucking true.
You have to be okay with it. But, seriously, I mean, like, I think... And now we're getting into conspiracy theory. I think that if this game tries to be the next Xenoverse, because Jason, for you that you don't know, or for anybody that doesn't know anything about Xenoverse 2, it came out in 2014. It's still releasing content.
Yeah.
So if this game chooses to have that type of longevity, which I believe that it's pairing up with Dragon Ball Daima for a purpose, this game is the stepping stone that they wanted to get out before they started releasing Super, the anime again. Like the manga got through some really potent characters, and then it stopped at who. And I have a feeling. For example, on your point, Hobbs, on Android 17, I think that is such a specific character to leave out for no reason that it has to be DLC. You're not gonna give me Ribby Ann and a bunch of characters from Super that I'm not gonna play with other than watch them and be like, oh cool, I'm kicking her ass. But like 17, I think he had to be Super 17 anyways. I think he had to be in the game, and I think he will be in the game as a DLC character.
Perfect.
I agree with that.
That leads right into, what would you add to the game? What is, like, now that you got here, more things are going to be added. What are you hoping to see, and what would you definitively add to the game?
I think that the game, it's gonna have to add this eventually so it doesn't die. It's gonna have to add, and I have said maybe possibly this might be it, a new game mode. I think it's not gonna be about the characters, the maps, the music, or customizables. I think they're gonna have to eventually add a new game mode a couple years down the line to keep it fresh. Because as much as I love Dragon Ball, aside from completing the story, getting all the characters, and fighting people online, I don't, especially with the one map for local fighting, I don't see it being as fun as later down the line. If I get competitive enough, I'll be competitive about it, but not fun.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah. For me, it's going to have to be game mode. That's a good shout out. And however you do it, and then I think it would be something like just something that would like again. I want to again say we have not played fully through the game. That's very important because what I'm saying right now it could very well be in there. But I would like something that adds a little bit more customization into the story, not just the decisions, but also like maybe that is what you were saying earlier, bringing in like the what if, more of the what if scenarios, more Xenoverse, narratives. Thank you. Like something that makes you feel like almost like this is something that like if we didn't do it this way, or if something didn't go the way that I picked it, it would be tough to get the same narrative or scenario, you know? And that mixed in with a little bit more, how do I put this? Maybe a second, again, this could very well be game mode, but maybe something like, as I was alluding to for the competitiveness, maybe something like a, kind of like how Street Fighter does with their easy controls and then their like competitive controls, something like that along the lines, I think could be very possible and honestly very easy to implement. It's there, they've done it in other games that kind of have the similar flying fight style, and the whole 3D like open world fight template. So they definitely can do it. Now it's just about if they want to or plan to. But that would be mine.
To kind of piggyback off of you guys, I want custom stories, and meaning I want integratable mods, not just, you know, something you would have to download through GitHub or some, you know, shady website onto the game. But I really want custom stories, mostly for the fact that, for me, I've watched all the Dragon Ball content. You know, I've seen Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball Z Kai, GT, Super, the even short little. Technically I didn't complete the short. What is it? Super, fucking whatever. It was the. What was that series? Jesus. It was just it was a make-believe land of essentially all the strongest characters. It was a short little thing.
Oh, like Heroes or whatever?
Yeah, Heroes. There we go. Thank you. But it's grown stale for me only because the characters aren't learning lessons. And maybe that's something that's been changed in future manga arcs, which I have potentially heard that is the change. But they come with characters like Gohan, who I've lost way too much respect for. You can do all the glazing and, you know, trying to dig that man out of the grave that you want. I still remember the fact that he wears glasses, so he's a half-blind Super Saiyan, which, you know, I guess having human DNA makes you a little worthless, but also makes you.
Glasses were always fake.
Hold on. When he turns Super Saiyan, his vision gets better, though. That's a fact. That's a fact. It's in the anime. He turns Super Saiyan and all his problems go away.
Maybe, you know, if they said that's the case because he spent too much time as a Super Saiyan when he was in the hyperbolic time chamber, then yeah, you know what, fine. Okay, makes sense. But
yeah, Jason, you can't blow up worlds and have 20/20 vision.
Oh god, it's especially because you're a half-blood. That's the major difference. It's that human DNA that, as great as it makes you a little soft. So I want custom stories. I want to be able to integrate stories like Dragon Ball AF. You know how awesome it would be to see Super Saiyan 5, and again, I'm not gonna argue till I'm blue in the face, no pun intended, that GT's better than Super, but
GT's actually garbage. We're not doing this.
Whatever you want to tell yourself, whatever you want to tell yourself to go to sleep.
Okay.
We're talking about something different. Whatever you want to tell yourself. So I love the designs in GT way more than I like them in Super. I think the best design that Super produced was Zamasu.
Even more than Ultra Instinct?
Ultra Instinct is cool. Don't get me wrong, it's cool. I actually like the Omen of Ultra Instinct more than I like Ultra Instinct with the white hair itself.
You know, for somebody that said they want Dragon Ball AF and they finally get a white-haired Super Saiyan, now all of a sudden, it's not the best.
It's because, listen, I miss the apeness. I miss the monkey aspect, which is something that GT was trying to go back to. That's just my personal preference. It's not just because we're also all fucking monkeys, but all in all, I want custom stories. I want, you know, more to the original story. Again, as we said, they should have put more effort into really changing the scenes. And maybe, I don't know, me personally, what I would add is some sort of like timeline mechanic where you can keep track of where your decisions have diverged to. You know what I mean? I'll probably put up a picture.
They do have that. Just to let you know.
Well, I'm gonna put a picture of what I mean. All right, it is different. Anyways.
And also, bro,
what?
How you gonna disrespect Topo's God Destruction transformation? You tripping? I don't even like Topo like that, and I was like, that is badass as balls.
You know,
we got a clip of Topo just beating the shit out of Frieza right now because that was
I'll
scary.
like invert the colors and everything. Yeah.
He's out here being like, oh shit, he's right. That Topo transformation.
It's cool, but listen, we'll get into that debate in a different video. But another thing I would add is kind of like what Hav said, to piggyback, you can't play Mr. Satan, right? I think in order to kind of fix that problem, we should add some characters in a DLC, whatever, should be for free, of characters like Farmer with a Shotgun, or the Native American people from Dragon Ball, you know?
That'd be so funny. Yes, I love that.
Yeah, like that's what I'm saying. Like, I think if we're gonna make something like that work, like you already have Chaozu. Chaozu's no stronger than a Yu-Gi-Oh card at this point. So I want to see lesser characters and an option to like scale the power level, so it's almost feasible to have Broly, legendary Super Saiyan Broly against, you know, Tien or somebody. So that's what I would add. Now,
yeah, I like that idea. That's funny as hell. I'm 100% behind it.
What would you?
Well, hold on. Let me bring something up on that topic. How about this? Now you're 100% right. If you do Broly, the legendary Super Saiyan, against a mere human, the mere human's gonna get his ass kicked. However, if this situation was as you say, then even Master Roshi against Hercules would be a one-hit fight. So scaling is done so that, you know, the powerful ones then definitely feel more powerful. But I feel like if it was as bad as you say it was, then even, like I said, Roshi versus Hercules would be a bad fight. And I promise you that if I was Hercules and, I don't know, let's say, if it was Hobbs, let's say, 1v1, I think I would put up a fight. Because Hercules is good. I like playing with him. And I think, honestly, I put in a lot of work. I forgot against who, but it was like a god tier, you know, like, fighter. And I was kicking their ass as Hercules. So, I don't know. I feel like they did the scaling right. You know, it's better than saying Hercules is too weak, so he can't even be in the roster. Or he's not boring to play with. You know what I mean?
Not at all. I just want to see somebody like the Garlic Jr. gang or the Assassins from Dragon Ball, like people who would legitimately be on Mr. Satan's level. You know what I mean? Like Master Shen. Or...
That's a lot of credit to fucking what's his face, Satan, telling him he's Garlic Jr.
Yeah,
level.
Mercenary
shrine of him.
No, I totally agree with what both of you guys are putting down. I do think it's actually the power scaling is done well. I'm just saying, like, if you wanted a super like competitive thing, you would have a mode where you throw power scaling out, even it out, and then it literally comes down to gameplay and moveset. Your best versus my best, and it's not because you have your guy's a higher level, essentially, if it was Pokemon. You know how Pokemon has a thing where it's like, oh, everyone's level 50? like that.
Yeah.
I'm saying that could be like a implementation, which I actually just think they're gonna do it. I don't see why they wouldn't. I do think it just would be like a side mode they introduce. Like once, you know, a little later on, maybe in the first or second DLC pack, once there's like a lot of characters already unlocked. Because
another mode of ranked.
Yeah, I'm sure that's already come up. I'm sure they've already talked about that.
But yeah, so you guys get it. You guys get it. So what would we take away from the game? If you had to take away one thing, what would you just remove from the game outright? Daniel.
What would I remove from the game? That's tough. I don't know, man. I like everything, even the store.
Mm-hmm.
I love the store. That's underrated. We should have brought that up. The store was sick.
Yeah, I mean, like, let's go bar for bar. Like, you start the game, it has an amazing opening. Then the title selection screen is so interactive, and there's so much going on. You can stare at it for days. You can go the way that you either go forward or backwards through the different modes dictates what Goku or anybody else is going to say and how they're going to interact. That's amazing. I guess since we're, like I said, since we're going down the list, just adding more maps to the dual local play. But again, Havs brought this up, I think, during the stream, that this is most likely due to just limits that the game has based on, you know, the engine of the game or the systems. But I really don't think that they held out. That's my point. You know, like, you can't, even if they introduced 16,000 fucking DLC packs, they released 181 off the rip.
Yeah. This is true.
Is there anything that I would take out of the game? Taking out of the game, I agree with Danny. I don't really think there's anything that I would take out. It would only be like Danny said, it'd be nitpicks, and then just, you know, straight up, like, you know, like wishful modes that I would like. There's not really something that I would take out. Maybe like no, dude, I don't know. No, I don't think there is anything that I would take out. I was pretty content with what was in it. Yep. Again, a couple tweaks here and there, and then like a couple other game modes, and like obviously the multiplayer stuff. The local multiplayer stuff is obviously an issue that, you know, but nah, I mean, my biggest problem with the last Dragon Ball Z fighting game was the loading screen. So they took that out, and I'm a happy camper. Completely. I'm a happy camper, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, from what I saw, I guess the only thing I would take out is, you know, a couple bad character lines, like saying no cap, but otherwise...
I love that. I love that. I'm not even gonna lie. I love that.
It's subjectiveness.
I love it because the kids high key have been like.
I said high key. God damn it.
Have been growing up with us in a way, and, you know, yeah, sure. When Dragon Ball Z first started, it was very like, you know, like, oh, rustic and dinosaurs running around and this and that. And now that we're in Super, which those. You know, I think that's the Trunks and Goten that we got this game. I don't think it details it. Maybe it does. But I think we got the super version of them. And yeah, the super version of these kids are freaking... They're full... They love technology. I mean, you know, Trunks is a...
Fucking Fortnite nerds.
Yeah, no, they would be fucking kids playing Fortnite. They would be kids that say no cap. Trunks is like that. Trunks reminds me of my own little brother. They're just like that.
I think, like, Trunks also, like, the fact that, you know, before they made it a point, like, which I love this. One of my most underrated thing about Dragon Ball Z is in general character development. People don't realize how much character development goes on, but there's a lot more than people realize. And something that they stressed in all of them. Stop being a hater.
You don't mean super.
Stop being a hater. So in my favorite character, obviously, is Future Trunks. But something that goes unnoticed is if you look between Z and Super, is where Trunks and technology didn't really start to kick up till after he saw himself. You know what I'm saying? Like, and this is like future Trunks, like, you know, obviously Bulma, obviously his grandpa. Technology was always there for Trunks, but you don't really see him get super into it until he sees himself and knowing what's going on. You know what I'm saying? And that whether they intended that or not, it's those little things that can be an implication that adds a lot of fun to the lore. I like to call it the lore in between the lore. You know what I'm saying? It's the untold stuff. Like, and I love that so much. And so, yeah, like, to your point, Danny, I definitely can see these kids. If you're a fucking kid like Trunks, you turn Super Saiyan with your best buddy, youngest ever, and then you see a version of yourself that's an adult, fucking runs a whole corp. You see your mom is fucking badass, your grandpa. You're not gonna take life seriously. You know, like, what's your biggest fucking word?
If I'm gonna like pick out 10 rich, like 10-year-olds, and I'm gonna say which one of these kids says no cap, I'll take an 8 out of 10.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, it's those little things. And again, to Jason's point about like being able to control narrative and seeing the different things, and that pretty much basis of everything we talked about, it'd be nice to see like that interaction of not even just the Trunks, but like seeing a little bit in between of what we don't get to see of Goten and Trunks, and how, okay, Trunks says no cap, but how did it get there? Like what did we not get to see?
What YouTuber was he watching?
Yeah, you get what I'm saying, like that type of stuff, you know. And I think they could do that very easily by just being able to give you a little bit more, I guess, creative freedom of what we haven't seen yet on the process of like seeing the more of the story or your decisions or whatnot.
Mm-hmm. All right, that brings us to our final point. Give us your official rating and your official review. This is gonna go on a card, and it's gonna be official for the end of the video. So official ratings, official reviews. Daniel, go ahead.
I think basing it off of how much fun I had, off the fact that I spent 4 hours playing it and still demanded more, but I had to literally go to sleep, and off the fact that it's the 4th installment in the series, if I gave Budokai Tenkaichi 3 an 8.7, I give this a 9.2. I think it's damn near perfect. I think if I'm gonna complain about one thing and it's a story and I barely even played it, then like I said, that means nothing, because I'm not here for the Dragon Ball Z story. I'm here for the Dragon Ball Z experience. I know the story. Like, let me experience it in my own two hands, you know? I don't know. I mean, you know, essentially how this, like, if I'm gonna break it down part for part, characters, 10 out of 10. I enjoyed playing with every single character I've played so far. Even the fucking Frieza soldier looks fun to play with. Moves, 10 out of 10. The visuals, 10 out of 10. Gameplay, I'll give that like an 8 out of 10 because I've had a couple glitches, but I'm gonna take that with me because there's a lot going on, and you know, it's kind of, if this game didn't have any glitches, it would be fucking surprising. And we're 3 days into drop, you know, even early drop, so maybe they'll fix that with patches. And yeah, story receives a harsh, you know, 7 out of 10 so far. But maybe if that even gets better, this game could jump up to a 9.5.
Mr. Javier.
For me, I'm gonna give it an 8.4. Now, I'm giving it an 8.4 for a couple reasons. Everything that Danny listed actually have it scaled the exact same way. Character design 10, visuals 10, gameplay same thing, around an 8, story like 7, same scenario. What it is for me is, which is something that I think, as much as I love Dragon Ball Z, I can do, that I think a lot of fans wouldn't be able to do. And that's separating the Dragon Ball Z from it's also a fighting game. And I think that's where it hurts the most. Like, where it hurts the most, it's a fighting game. If you want a competitive fighting game, go play the last one. But if you want that full DBZ experience, play this one. And I think that is the big difference. Like, I think that for me, I have a huge, like I was saying, a huge fighting game background. I played the Mortal Kombat, the Street Fighters, the Tenkaichis. I have the Tenkaichis, fucking Tekkens. I am a fighting game enthusiast. So for me, that will impact my view on this game. Can it get higher? Sure, but also it's still, I say 8.4, but for me, again, if you didn't know, I mean, you guys know by now, I'm a pretty harsh critic. I don't think I've ever given anything a 10. An 8.4 is great, and it's still probably, at least on release, probably my favorite anime game of all time. Everything I've said, I still would say comfortably, and so that's what it is. That's what it is for me. I think it has incredible replay value. I think, but again, if you're looking for that super competitiveness of a fighting game, I think gameplay-wise, it lacks a little bit in terms of mechanics, not visuals. So that's where I stand.
And I will wrap that up by saying, for someone who got a first taste at an upgraded Budokai Tenkaichi 3, or however Dan wants to pronounce it, that's correct. I give it an 8 out of 10 purely based off the experience. Story mode, that's too big of a thing, at least for me, because I don't want to keep experiencing the same thing over and over again unless there's going to be legitimate changes. And it got my hopes up, and then it took a dump on my chest. And if I wanted that to happen, I could have went to Oktoberfest. So I
or
give
just
it
come over.
I'm gonna give it a solid 8 out of 10. It is a great game based off of, exactly. I love how we're wrapping it up as soon as Dan wrapped that. Yeah, no, that's actually perfect. 8 out of 10. Beautiful game visually, gameplay wise. I had a lot of fun. It is easy to learn. You can just button mash for the most part, even if you don't want to be skilled, and go somewhere. And yeah, 100% I would buy the game, even if I wasn't a big Dragon Ball fan. The fighting sequences, the fighting part is enough for someone like me who is not a fighting game enthusiast.
Yeah, bro. I mean, Javi, give him his compliment from yesterday.
Oh, yeah, and this...
Somebody's sponsoring it.
Oh, sorry. And this goes towards... I'm sure a lot of people, like Jason said, not a fighting game enthusiast. Maybe not even the biggest Dragon Ball Z fan. But I'm telling you right now, it's the first... Jason's very bad at games, especially the first time he plays them. And I could genuinely say it was the first time he was really, I felt really competing, he really got what was going on. He had button mashing, but he understood, okay, this button does that. He just, all he has to do to get better is work on timing and figure out, the movesets. But I think, it's the part that I love the most about the game, but that's only achievable with the simplicity of the gameplay, which is kind of contradicting what I was saying, but again, I think it limits competition. But in the other vein, this is the positive side about it, is that everybody can get to a certain point of competency and get decent, because it is easy to learn. But then it's the little intricate designs, the little bits and pieces, knowing that the Kamehameha,
auto tracks,
knowing that Gotenks' circle move is an auto grab, stuff like that you need to know. And then, it's an auto grab, okay, I have to parry this rather than just block it. And little things like that is what makes the difference in this game between a pro and the average player. And I think it is probably and again, it goes still, Danny, to what you said last night, which I totally agree with, is the fact that the local has one map and we still played on 4 hours. I would say a good 80% on that one map.
Gotta fix
Maybe
what I'm
more,
saying?
dude.
Gotta
Maybe
fix
more,
that.
bro.
So that's a big testament to how fun and enjoyable the game is. And yeah, and I think everybody should get it, whether you're a fan or not. And I think it's a good comeback for a franchise that one thing you'll never say about Dragon Ball Z is that they don't swing. They don't take big swings. Like, you gotta think about the last 4 different installments across the board, not just this game, but 4 different DBZ installments, and think about how different these games have been. You know, they're always trying something new and innovative.
We can list them literally, like Xenoverse 2, like open world fighting game with different mechanics all around and customizable main character. Then after that, Fighter Z, 2D platform fighting. I said platform, but I didn't mean that. And then the third one, Dragon Ball Berserker or whatever it's called, which is like essentially like one bad guy and 4 humans trying to survive. Like basically a survival game based on Dragon Ball. So definitely have kind of tested it all out.
And it's so like, you know, they even have the one card game that I bought on my Switch. I never played it. And you know, like they try really hard at being innovative, and I appreciate that. And one thing, take this, whether it's good or bad, take it for yourself. Take this part for yourself. I think as a DBZ fan, it's a good thing. I think as a fighting games fan, you may view this as a bad thing. But I personally sit in the middle of it. I think it's both good and bad. This is a Dragon Ball Z game that if you like the 2D fighter, you can still play that. You know, you like Xenoverse, you can still go play Xenoverse. They're still gonna drop content on Xenoverse. So you can still go back and play those other games if you like them, if you prefer them. And this game has its own vibe and style to it. And I'm sure, like, while you're playing in Xenoverse, you're like, no, you know what? I want more of a cinematic fight. I want to see fucking basically MCU of Dragon Ball Z. You toss this game on. You know what I'm saying? Like, that kind of sums it up for me.
I'm gonna say this for both of you.
End it. Take it away.
Has it been worth the 14-year wait?
Did Drake wait 4 years for Millie Bobby Brown?
I don't think so.
All right, let me try. Let me try this again. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna whatever.
Oh fuck! Thank you, Danny. You totally jogged my memory of something I wanted to say. By far, I think in the last year, Danny, specifically for us, because we've really have had our hopes high and been crushed this year, last year in games. It's the first time in a while, for me at least, that the game did live up to the hype. I was very excited for it, and I kind of got what I wanted. And I was very happy. And even the parts I don't like, even without the multiplayer thing, like, it's fine. I still like it. Like, you know, like I'm like you said, there's certain things you kind of have to like take with it. You know, there's some glitches here and there. That's fine. But I'm very happy with what we've gotten. And to me, it was worth the wait. As a Dragon Ball Z fan, it was worth the wait. And I think as a fighting fan, it's still worth the wait because it still provides something different. Maybe not the most competitive, but definitely something different and still fun in its own way. And could get competitive because I think the way they set up the online, Danny, with the point thing is super competitive and super cool. But again, we have to experience it a little more before we could actually talk about that because we only got to play one round, you know?
Yeah, one very intense round, I will say.
Yeah. We were searching for a minute, and Daddy's like, "How's there no people?" I'm like, "Daddy, it's release date. The game came out 3 hours ago."
You spent an extra $30 to get it 3 days early. Please give the people a chance.
So yeah,
all right.
I'm watching my heroes get mauled by Ronald McDonald.
Oh yeah, we'll definitely do some actual gameplay of this game. But okay, day 1 reviews. I love it. Thank you guys for wanting to do this. I mean, realistically, this was a Dan thing because He's been waiting how many years? 14
Dan,
years?
one more quick question
14
for you.
fucking years, bro.
One more quick question for you. So it's become popular in the fighting games community that every game has a guest character from a different universe or a different game. Now, do you see DBZ doing that? And if so, one, who do you want? Two, who do you say is more realistic of seeing?
I think realistic speaking, they're made by the same animation. They're made by the same studio as One Piece, I believe. Shonen Jump owns them both. And now, is that just the manga? How does that work?
Yeah, they just own the manga rights, and then in terms of who, isn't it Studio Pirouette that does? I don't know. Either way, we'll look into it. But either way, yeah, we'll.
Well, okay. I'm sorry. No, you're right. Okay, so as far as what you're saying, Hobbs. Well, if Daima didn't exist, I think that they would implement that other Dragon Quest, I think it's called. That's made by the same
That's also
people,
made by
I believe.
Akira.
Yep, Dragon Quest. Okay, I like that.
Dragon Quest. It would be kind of nuts, to be honest with you. And it could definitely, especially if they plan on releasing some new content for it, and, you know, this would be the time to do it, because, honestly, with this game, I'm so fucking pumped that they could release shit the second, and I would play it.
Yeah, dude. I agree. For me, Dragon Quest, I think, is the best answer of who it probably would be if they did it. But for me, obviously, it's like, if my heart is picking it, give me the big three, you know?
Exactly. Ichigo Solo's the Dragon Ball universe. I said what I said.
The conversation we've always had, you know? Basically, I just want this to be a better version of Shonen Jump, alright? I said what I said. That game visually was so good. Everything else sucked. But, no, that's what I would want. If they're like,
can you imagine?
It'd be them.
I would love to see... I would love to see...
This is a perfect time to end it, just so we don't get them in the video. Everybody say bye. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys. Hello.
Bye.
What are we talking about?